Mm. Hey y'all, welcome to the Devon A. Morris Unfiltered call-in show. Have a seat. Let's get ready. You have any questions? Come on, call in. Come on to that Discord channel. Do me a favor, get the unfiltered crew some finger snaps. We're ready to get started here. Mondays, 8 p.m. Every single Monday, we're here. I'm excited about it. Are you? Let's get this show started, y'all. The greatest scrum show on earth. I'll see y'all soon. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I don't have my sound effects with me. Because guess what? I'm not in the studio, right? I'm actually in the city of New York. Yeah, I'm in New York City, y'all, for real. Yeah, I'm out here. Got to get some work in. Got to work for a client. So this is about that day. Wish me the best. It's the first time I'm doing anything in person, right? So it's been a little while since the whole pandemic started, and I haven't been traveling like that at all. So this has been one of those things where it's been a welcome trip to New York. So you're on this side of the world, if you're coming in New York, hey man, let's get together for dinner Thursday, Tuesday. I got coaching to do on Wednesday night, but Tuesday, Thursday, well, this is Tuesday. No, tomorrow Tuesday I got work too. But Thursday before I leave would be a great day. So anyway, that being said, hopefully everything's going well with everyone. Do me a favor, say hello in the chat. Whether you're on LinkedIn or you're in the good old place of YouTube. Before we get started, do me a favor, subscribe, like, click the notifications. We're trying to get to 1,000 people, so please go ahead and join us on this journey. It's always an amazing time, always a pretty good show. So how does this work? Did I even introduce myself? This is Devon Morris, the Devon A. Morris Unfiltered Call-In Show. We talk about Agile, Scrum, entrepreneurship, things of that nature, and you're welcome to come in and ask your questions. And the way it works is really simple. We have some people that will call in on a digital line, and then they'll jump in, and we'll be talking to each other side to side here virtually. And then other people will actually go ahead and drop their questions in the actual chat. Whether it's LinkedIn or it's YouTube, they'll drop their questions there, and I'll answer as many questions as we can. Now, we spend an hour here. That's all we really spend here. We don't spend any more than just that hour. I'll answer as many questions as I can. I don't mind staying longer, but the idea is, in general, it doesn't take much longer. If there are no questions, then great. Now, in terms of agenda, because don't call in until about 15 minutes in, because 15 minutes in, I'll start queuing people up so then they can actually join us for the day. So here's the deal. We kind of go and we go through this intro part. I give you some up-to-date stuff, and then we'll talk about the topic. And the topic today is going to be does waterfall work, right? With a question mark behind that, right? And we'll talk about that for a moment so we're on the same page, because I do have some beliefs. I guess I'm not the normal agilist, but we'll get into that in just a minute. And we'll talk about that for 10 or 15 minutes. So somewhere around 10 to 15 minutes, or I would say about 8:15 to 8:20, is when we'll open up the lines for you to either join and be live on the show or drop questions in the chat. You can drop questions before then, but just know that's how we're going to operate, and we will go the entire time. Now, for those that are here, you know how we work. Say hi to me in the chat. I don't care if you're on LinkedIn. I don't care if you're on YouTube. Doesn't matter to me. Say hi to me in chat. I see Shanita. How are you? How's it going? Let's see. Patrick, as usual, brother. Nice to see you. Me inspired. Hopefully I got a gym today. We'll see. Hey, Jennifer, how you doing? So we got people here. We always have a few people here, so this is nothing but pluses. So thank you for joining. Um, what's going on? I told you about the fact I'm here in New York. I think the next big class I really have is going to be in July. July, I have some CSM, CSPO classes and probably a weekend class then as well. And then, it's been all about getting the kids out and everything else. So it's been a little bit slow motion during the summer on classes, but that's okay. I'm getting it right. For those people who upset at me for not getting back in touch with them, it's because I've been making a lot of decisions about things in terms of how things have to flow because I got kids that are just going all over the place. So happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers in the room. And today, if you're in the U.S., this is the Juneteenth official holiday. I guess I got some feelings about that, but you know, if you're gonna call it Freedom Day, great, wonderful, amazing, right? I just got some weird feelings, but that's okay. We're not here to talk about that. So, that being said, I do want to talk about the topic at hand. Does waterfall actually work? Um, and the most interesting thing that I can say to you is this first and foremost. If you have run into any agilist whatsoever, I mean, just whatsoever, there is a classic disdain for what we call waterfall. Now, the first thing that I should do is for the newbies in the room, I should define what I mean by waterfall. Now, it's classically a IT term, information technology or IT term, okay? And what it's classically referring to is when you complete all of one architectural layer or one part of what I'm going to call the life cycle of what it takes to build things. So, for example, within the IT space, software development in particular, you might gather requirements. Well, if you're doing this like a scrummish kind of way, an agile kind of way, you probably won't grab every single requirement before you start doing work. Like in Scrum, all you need to have is enough requirements to complete a sprint, to start a sprint, realistically. You should probably have a little bit more than that, but the idea is that's all you really, really need. So, the way the thought process behind Waterfall is you get all your requirements all detailed out, then you're done with that. Okay? Then you move on to the next thing, the next step. It's like the next part of the waterfall, right? The water is here, it comes and it falls to the next step, right? And you get to the next step and it's gonna do that and it's gonna fall to the next step, right? And so then your next step, once you gather requirements, might be the design. You complete all the design, and then you complete all the development. Then you complete all the testing, and then you complete all the activities that it takes to make it available to the user, the customer, whoever it is that you're thinking about, right? And so within a waterfall type way of thinking, you are really going through all of those steps, but one step at a time. When it comes to Scrum, Agile, Kanban in general, there's way more overlapping of those activities. Okay, and so when I speak on it, I'm really speaking on the fact that we're talking about a specific regimented part of the process. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, my understanding and the story that I've been told, this I haven't found anything that contradicts this story, is that waterfall was first really described in an article in 1970s talking about managing large systems by a guy named Winston Royce, whose son goes on to create the Rational Unified Process. And Winston Royce described in that article, I remember three distinct pictures he put in that. One was a very waterfall-ish type of framework, a way he said that you should not deliver software. He literally said in the article, this would not be the best way to deliver software because what he said was really simple. Software, every single part of it needs some kind of feedback. So my understanding is what happened is that he wrote that article. It was around in the universe, just being in the universe, doing what things in the universe do. And then in the 1980s, the United States Department of Defense decided to adopt what he was talking about, but they didn't adopt what he was talking about. They actually adopted the waterfall process that he said not to really utilize on, he was talking about large systems, right? Mostly software development type stuff is what he was talking about. But they decided to adopt Waterfall, what he said don't do on software. They decided to adopt that on software in the 1980s. And then it just got proliferated. And then a bunch of big companies and everybody else started doing it. And then next thing you know, the counter movement started. Probably, counter movement started. And then you get a nice article around 1986 called The New Product Development Game that kind of puts a nail, not a nail in the coffin, but just put a stake in the ground of, one of those foundational things. You look at the agile landscape and say, this is a part of what helps to start the movement. So literally, when you start really thinking about all the elements of what's happening, right? It is, it wasn't designed, at least the waterfall process wasn't necessarily designed for something like software development. But the question is, why is that the case? Because there's nothing wrong with the waterfall process. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the waterfall process. It's actually pretty predictable. And we want things to be predictable. At a minimum, we want things to be predictable because when things are predictable, that's when we can go faster, get even better results, right? It's when things are predictable, right? So we would love to get to that place, and even the IT space and everything, every space that you work in where things aren't so predictable, probably our drive is to get to be more predictable, right? Everything about it is being more predictable. So predictability is a plus. Waterfall works really well for driving predictability. Now, waterfall is normally a lot more well defined, which is a good thing. It is there where you can have all the details you need at every single step of the process, which means it can lead to less rework, less doing things over or again or starting differently. Hey, Evelyn, how you doing? When you get to the place where people are actually doing the building process, they got all the stuff that they need and actually to do that. They got to design everything that they need. So really it leads to less questions. So ultimately it helps for you to be more predictable. The problem is this: software and many other things like raising children, the requirements change. And since the requirements change, it's not as well suited. And so when you do something like waterfall on something where the requirements or parts of the process that should be predictable change, then you have to add more process in place to kind of make it work. And this is where it can get extremely costly or where it adds a lot of process in place. So, for example, in Waterfall, you might be delivering software and you might get all the requirements that you know together. But then you got to put in a process to account for change to those requirements, right? And you have to go through that process several times because generally in software, most of our customers don't know what they want until you put it in their hands, right? When you're raising children, even if you got multiple kids, they're not exactly the same. So even though the general process is the same, kids are different. Um, Building software is different. There are things that don't lend itself to a predictable process, but can you make it work? Very well, you can make it work. You absolutely can make it work, right? Um, what else? When you have to add more process, you tend to add more documentation, right? And so, more documentation, well, let's just put it like this: documentation is normally not a part of what it takes to deliver whatever it is you're trying to deliver. So documentation generally, unless it's a part of what it takes to deliver what you're trying to deliver, is normally non-value add but necessary. And anything that's non-value add but necessary, you want to do as little of that as possible so you have more time for your value add activities, right? And so you end up in a place where things can end up being interesting, different, all those wonderful things. So it's just a good thing. And anybody that's calling in now, just so you know, You'll be on hold for a little bit because we'll finish part of what we're talking about right now. So literally, when you start thinking about waterfall, waterfall's not the enemy. Waterfall actually works. It really does work. If I'm building a brand new house, like from the studs, I mean, literally no house exists, no pipes in the ground, none of that stuff. I'm using waterfall, flat out. I'm using Waterfall, right? Because I want to know all the requirements so then we bring in people at the right times and specialization, and then resources ramp up and they ramp down in very different ways. So I'm probably going to use Waterfall. I don't want to have like electricians in my on my scrum team the entire time, right? I don't need that because once I do all the electrical work, which is foundational, which is mechanical, I need to do a lot of that stuff up front, right? Before I start putting walls up. So realistically, for building a house from scratch, waterfall is amazing. And I want to know all the requirements because that helps me to determine what we're going to do here. If I'm remodeling a house though, I'd rather use Scrum. I'd rather use Scrum. Because I'm going to focus on a portion of the house. I'm not going to focus on all the house, right? I'm going to focus on the kitchen or some particular area where I can do all of what it takes in terms of the house in that small time frame. So that's how I'm going to operate. But again, building a house from scratch and then remodeling a house are two very different things. So my statement to you is waterfall actually works. It works tremendously. It works extremely well. Anybody in here that's been involved with Six Sigma, you're following more predictable processes with Six Sigma. So the waterfall would land in that predictable world. And so if you're talking about predictability, there's nothing wrong with predictability. The problem with predictability is the change process, right? And what do you got to do to go change something? And if you got to change a ton, maybe you should not use such a predictable process. Maybe you should use a process that's going to have a feedback loop involved in it so you can actually account for those changes that need to happen. And so when I go and think about it, I really do like waterfall. I love it because I know when I see people building cars, I know they're using a very waterfall process. I know it's a very predictable process in essence. So it's an amazing thing. It's really, really a good thing. So my statement to you is this: as we close out this part right here, don't ever think waterfall is a bad thing. Just don't. It's not. There's nothing wrong with it. The question you have to ask yourself is, for this problem that I'm trying to solve, would using a predictable process be the best thing to do? If the answer to that is yes, then use something like Waterfall. Yeah. If the answer to that is no, then you don't want to use it. So a lot of times the problem that we have is that we're using the wrong process to solve the problem. And you don't want to use the wrong process to solve the problem. That defeats the whole purpose because then you're going to be doing a lot of additional work. And you don't want to do that additional work. That's the whole point. You don't want to do the additional work. So you're trying to utilize a process that's going to help you solve the problem in the most effective way. That's the reason why I always say you should have more than one tool than a toolkit, right? I'm not just a certified Scrum trainer. I'm also a PMP. Not that PMP is waterfall, but I say it to you differently. I'm not just a certified Scrum trainer. I am also a certified Six Sigma black belt. And I take a lot of pride in being a Six Sigma black belt because the statistics and things that I've been able to do with stuff that's predictable is amazing. It's absolutely amazing, right? So anyway, that being said, that at least gives you an idea. So does waterfall work? End of the day, yes. Just apply it to the right things. And if you apply it to the right things, you'll get a lot of wonderful, great things out of it. Does that make sense? So um, I just get these agilists that really hate it. And I don't know, I've never understood why people be hating stuff so much. It's like people think that PMI is waterfall, and PMI is not waterfall. Matter of fact, 50% of the PMBOK right now is agile. If you don't take that, 50% of it is agile, right? And it's been moving that way for over years now, right? So literally for me, I've always seen these things work well together, as long as you use it on the right thing. That's really the key. Just use it on the right thing. Okay, does that make sense? So that being said, we're going to stop there because what I want to do is I want to say to you all, hey, throw your questions in the chat, please, because it's time for us to move on to that part of what we do today. And then for anyone that wants to join the show and for us to have a conversation, please, please, please do the normal thing. And I actually did not drop it in the chat, but I am. You'll see in the description of each, whether you're on YouTube or you're on LinkedIn, you'll see in the description the actual link to join the show. So you are welcome to join the show. Just go to the description and check. If you can't get to the description for some strange reason, I wouldn't know why you can't. That just seems to be ridiculous to me. I'll go ahead and just for the sake of it, I'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat real quick. Um, I'll do it there, and then I'll do it also on LinkedIn just to make sure we're good to go. LinkedIn and YouTube. So you'll see them there in just a second. Just give me a moment and I'll drop them. And then we go from there. But we're going to go ahead and start answering questions that people may have. And then we'll be good to go. So let me go ahead and that thing trying to make me sign in. That's crazy. YouTube people, it ain't trying to let me do what I'm supposed to do here. So I'm trying one more time and then I'm moving on so I can start answering some questions that people may have. But once again, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. If you have questions, I would love for you to join the show instead because you joining the show is a good thing. Why is it a good thing? Because I just like to talk to you. I just like to talk to you. So that being said, let's go ahead. I believe I have a caller here. Let's go ahead and add them to the show. So, I always got to switch up things a little bit. So you see those links. Let's go here to this thing and let's go ahead and add them to the show. Hopefully they're still here. We'll see. Hello, 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 hello. Caller, are you there? I don't see them. So we're going to see. Give them a second to join us. If not, we'll keep moving. I don't see that you're muted or anything like that. So, Brent, if you're not here, that's good. Okay. I don't see you. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to return you to the green room. If you are here, then do me a favor, bring your video up or say something, or maybe let me just make sure it's not me that's not hearing you. So, let me double check because I could be in a situation where I'm not hearing you for some strange reason. So, I'll double check my listening side to make sure that I'm good to go. Okay, I think you just came up. How you doing? Can you hear me? Some strange reason I can't hear you, but let me play something here to make sure that I'm all right. I can hear my music for sure. I can't hear you, Brent. And I know you're not coming through because you'll be showing up on my feed here. So the do me a favor, Brent. Disconnect, reconnect, and then I'll bring you right back in, okay? For some strange reason, I couldn't hear Brent, and that's all good. We'll try that again in a moment when he calls back. Did y'all hear Brent? I didn't hear him on my side. I hear him ringing. I hear him coming in, but I just didn't hear him on my side. So let's go ahead and try this one more time, and let's get Brent in here, and let's see. Say something.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine now, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm excellent, man. I'm sitting in New York, chilling like a villain.
While
So
I'm in
I'm
Texas,
good,
it's
man.
hotter than you know what here.
Well, what part of Texas are you in?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. Okay. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So,
getting warm. Supposed to be about 105 by the end of the week.
man, when it was 109 like last week or so, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
It was
it's
crazy.
the humidity and everything else is picking up, so it's getting a little
Oh
tough
yeah.
right now.
It is, man. I try to ride my bike in that mess and it be hot. Yeah, so it's good. It's good. So you got a question, man. Talk to me. What's going on?
Yes, I'm right now. I'm a teacher. I'm in
Yeah.
education. I'm trying to switch over into the Scrum.
Yeah.
master of the Agile.
Hmm.
I just went through an interview process and just found out today that I didn't get the job.
Okay.
Um, I'm trying to figure out what else. I mean, I still need to go through my certifications and get all that stuff done. Um, what else? What other steps would you help me get a job in Scrum and Agile?
Let's talk about what you have and what you don't have right now. Okay. So first and foremost, you're a career changer. I'm a career
Yes.
changer as well. So the first thing I'm going to say is you got to get all the tools that you need to be able to do whatever they're asking for. That's the first thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if it's me, I'm going to go look at the job recs for the top jobs that I would love to see myself in.
Okay.
And I'm going to go find what those things have in common. And they're likely
Mhm.
going to have certain things like CSM or advanced CSM preferred, or they might say the scaled agile framework, or they might say PMP, or they might say a number of years of experience, whatever that is, right? So I'm going to go find and I'm going to do a little bit of research. I'm going to find whatever it is that the jobs I'm really looking for that are around the salaries I'm really looking for. I'm going to go look at those things and I'm going to start correlating that information because that tells me and gives me an outlook of what employers are looking for. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes,
Okay,
sir. I
great.
got it. I got all the way to the second or third interview with the company, and it was
Well,
with the
that's what
group and
is.
everything.
Well, that's good. So
And
why do you think they didn't? Well, let me finish what I was saying, and then we'll talk about what happened, right?
yes, sir.
Um, Now, if they say they want particular certifications, I'll probably go get some of those, right? But I say I'd get every single thing that exists, probably not. But
Yeah.
it's a good thing to get a certified Scrum Master. If you can't afford to get a certified Scrum Master, maybe you get a professional Scrum Master and you just go take the test and pay the $100 or whatever it is, and you get that certification. That gets your foot in the door. Maybe you can go get one of these other ones that exist. It's just like, hey, you just do whatever and pay $50 and you got it. The
Okay.
benefit with getting that CSM though is that you well, in my classes, we practice Scrum by doing Scrum. So you learn Scrum by actually doing Scrum. So we run Scrum in the classroom. So it's like modeling the behaviors for you. So it's really like I'm almost your mentor in the class. So if you're going to take an actual class, there's going to be an instructor giving you that information. I would advise that you do something like that, where they're going to
Okay.
mentor you through the process and you really learn what you're doing. So now let's just say whatever certification that is, whatever certifications you want to get those. Okay, you got into the interview, so that is a good thing. Plus, you made it. So
Yes.
you obviously got something that they were looking for. The question is, why did they pick the other people over you? Would be the question. Now, if you could get access to that information, that would be great. If you can't, then that's a different problem. They could have picked another person because of their experience. And that's something you can't fight. You don't
Yeah.
have experience doing it, and you're going to lose that battle almost every
Yes.
single time because you just don't have the experience. And that's okay. Ways that people get experience when they don't have any experience is finding ways to do Scrum in other arenas, like volunteering or doing it yourself in your own world. So, for
Yeah.
example, every week I start a sprint. I start a sprint with my workout routine. Okay. And anybody that I tell that, they're interested in it. Does that make sense? And so stuff
Yeah.
like that can help you because you're actually going through some process, especially if you go through some process with some other people involved and you're actually utilizing Scrum to facilitate it. That will be helpful in case you don't have a job. Now, the other thing that I would do to make sure that I open myself up to more people is I would make sure I tighten up my resume. I'll make sure I tighten up all the assets that are associated to presenting me when I'm not there to present myself. So, like LinkedIn, right? The reason why I say that is because a lot of organizations have applicant tracking systems where they actually put you through a system and that system matches you. And based on the percentages, how much you may get through or you may not get through, right? And that's how well you match the job description. I would
Okay.
be figuring out ways that I can get through that system um, in more companies. Does that make sense? Now, the
Yeah.
recommendation that I have for you is because I'm not really that great at that. My friend John Signo does a class called Brand and Land that's associated with the Dallas Fort Worth chapter. You don't have to be a member of the Dallas Fort Worth chapter to join. It's about a $35 to $50 class, something like that. And they go for about 5 hours, man, talking about branding
Yeah.
yourself, getting yourself through the applicant tracking systems and stuff like that, right? So I would recommend something like that because that helps to get the assets together that you would need to show and present yourself without being involved and engaged in Scrum. Now,
Okay.
the other thing is that there are things you need to read. Like, if there are, I would go on the internet right now and say, what's the top 10 Scrum books that exist? What's the top 10 Agile books that exist? Start reading them. The
Okay.
reason why I say that is because you need to start reading the things that the community has read, right? You need to start reading that stuff so and then your terminology changes. The words you utilize change, right? Because what you want to be able to do is speak like the Agilists speak like the Scrum people speak. Does that make sense? Because
Yes, sir.
every type of job has its own lingo, okay?
Yes.
You can also do that by making sure you join user groups, that you go to conferences, that you attend stuff like this, right? Like something like
Okay.
this, you're going to see people asking questions in the chat. You're going to see the exchanges that we're having, and this stuff is free. Some of the videos that I have, watch some of those, right? Listen to how we exchange with each other, these agilists, right? Because every industry has its own secret terminology, right? And you could tell somebody that's involved in it versus somebody that's not. So you'll
Yeah.
get past the recruiter easy, but you may not get past an agilist
Yeah.
if you don't know the language. Does that make sense?
Yes,
And
sir.
so going back to your experience where you're involved at right now, you're involved in education, right?
Yes.
If you're involved in education, you've been doing Scrum already.
Yep. And that's what I felt whenever I applied for the job, and I felt like I did pretty good communicating with the uh, the team, the Scrum
Mm-hmm.
team, but that was implemented already, and the hiring IT manager and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that helped me get to the second and the third interview, and I was able to communicate with them and talk and be able to compare my my time in education with the Scrum Agile uh, terminology and everything. But
But you need
I
beyond
think the experience,
terminology. You gotta
yes,
you gotta
it's
you gotta make it feel like you know, like not just you know the book terminology, but you got,
yeah,
even if you don't have any experience, you got some experience, right?
yeah,
And so I definitely would recommend that you get yourself into an experiential class, right?
okay,
My class is always a good class to come to because we kind of do it while
yeah.
we're
Your company
working it, right?
recommended. I've already talked to another gentleman, and you were. That's why I'm watching your stuff right now. He recommended you.
Well, that's good. That's good because let me tell you something, man. for the people that be for the people that come to my class, I literally say to them, "Don't go out there and embarrass me on the street, for real."
Yes,
Because
yeah,
I don't play no games with it, man. I've been around Scrum
yeah,
since 2005, and so it's just one of those things where it's like it just is a part of me, right? It's a part of what I
yeah,
breathe every day, right? It's a part of what I do. And you want to get
yeah,
to that place where you're breathing and you're doing it every day. Man, I got 6 kids, man. All my kids know Scrum. They all have been tortured by it and they're being raised. And so chores happen using Scrum from time to time. Not all the
yeah,
time, but when I really need to get something done, yes, I did do things like that. And so
yeah.
you can find ways to apply this stuff. Now, I will tell you this as well because I think this will be helpful for you. Um, Man, dude, go look up Scrum in education.
Okay,
Okay, and the reason why I say that because I never recommend people throw away all their past experience, right? I'd
yeah,
rather for you to use your experience to help you get yourself in the door someplace, into the new place, right? And
yes.
so, if you really think about it, the schools have IT? Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. I'm in the career. I'm in the CTE or career technology education part right now. So I would use
and
that a lot in the interview process.
so now I would say to you, how can you utilize that? and you
Okay.
scrum while you're there. So
Okay.
you currently have a job, right?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay, so now what you need to do is you need to utilize that job and use Scrum on that job.
Okay.
So find ways to incorporate Scrum into what you do daily. And if you can
Yeah.
convince the people around you to also do Scrum, now you're cooking with gas because
Yeah.
that's experience. And then
Okay.
before you leave that job, you actually have the experience. And well, they might even say to you, "Look, you've done so well here. We need to get you over here and work on this over on this thing, right?" And so
Yeah.
utilize what you have to help get you what you want is the main point. And so if
Okay.
it's me, I'm gonna take the role that I have and make it as scrummish as I can all the way through, as much
Okay.
as I can apply, without getting myself fired, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go and do all that. So if you do that, that'll be a plus. So if you think about, I see somebody saying in the chat, P. Bell, Agile educators. If you go look up Agile educators, Scrum and Agile, you're going to see people that are doing it. Um, I have volunteered at schools, man, where the kids are using Scrum inside the classroom to help with
Yeah.
the education process. So if
Yeah.
you go look that kind of stuff up, it will feel closer to you. You'll feel more kinship with that. And I've had tons of people from education that have made the transition or is trying to make the
Okay.
transition and successfully made the transition as well,
Yeah.
into Scrum outside of the education world. But I think you can do Scrum within the education world as well. So I wouldn't put it
Okay.
past that, man, and enjoy trying to do it while you're there, because
Okay.
I think you'll create some beautiful things, and you'll create some stories. A lot of
Yeah.
what you're missing right now is the stories. You need to have stories that you can tell, and you build those stories experientially. So you want to start building those stories, and then you start building those stories, and then it just starts becoming even more magical. The lights done turned out on here somehow for me
Yeah.
in my room.
It's
I
getting
don't know
dark
why
here
it
too.
did, but it's okay. I don't really care. I mean, it's just like, wow, it's all right. So yeah, so other than that, man, um, does that help?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So here's what I'm gonna ask of you, man. I'm interested in your journey. So make sure if you don't come to my class, I'm good with that. Make sure you come back here and talk to me about how it's going.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where, you know, I'd rather for you to keep, and come here every Monday, man. Come here every Monday and just listen and just get the terminology and figure out what you can apply and get on the show and ask a question here and there. Because sometimes all you need is just a little tweak. You get a little
Yeah.
tweak, man, and you keep going. I find that if you're tenacious about it and you something that you really want and you're gonna go for it, man, can't nobody stop you, man. Can't nobody
Okay.
stop you. I look at life like, man, if I really want something, man, I already got it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of me going to go grab it, man. So my
Yeah.
question for you is, do you feel like you already got
Yeah. Feel like I do.
it? Then go claim it, man. But you got to go claim it by doing those other things. You do those other things, it'll be so much easier for you to claim it, man. So I look forward to what you do, Brent. Just come back, let me know how it's going. Do you have any other questions?
I'm good, man. Thank you.
Okay. All right, brother. Have a good one. Need anything, just reach back out, okay?
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that because, I like seeing people who want to go for it. I mean, a lot of you all come in here and you're career changers and you really want to get it done and you're excited about it, and that is so exciting to me. That is like, I dream. I remember the days when I was frustrated about my job. And then I was dreaming about the next opportunity and what I was going to do and how I was going to do it, and the insecurity of starting and making the leap, right? And trusting that that leap was going to work. And those leaps have worked for me. They have worked for me. They've worked for me in a way where today I've become the first black certified Scrum trainer, right? So they've worked in a way to help me blaze a particular trail. And I don't talk about that much, but I think it's just such an amazing thing. So it's a beautiful thing. I love it. Will always love it. Yeah, I can't beat it. And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and bring someone else on the show. So let's go ahead and welcome Maud. How you doing there? I remember you. You remember me?
Yes.
You are laughing. Let me tell you something. You got on my nerves. You know why you got on my nerves? I'm gonna tell you how you got on my nerves so you know. You got all panicked about that test. You remember you getting panicked about that test? Did you pass that test on the first try? What percentage did you get? Huh? You got like a 90 some percentage, didn't you?
A 92.
And here you go getting on my nerves about some dang on test. You getting on my nerves about taking the test, you getting on my nerves about this stuff and that stuff, and I told you it was gonna be all right. Didn't I tell you that?
Yes, you did.
And you didn't believe me, did you? But you made it through with no problem, right?
Yeah, that's the easy part.
Okay, all right. So you got a question. So what you want to talk about, Mon?
Um, Kind of give some feedback. I listened to the last guy, Brent, and
Hmm,
you did give me some really good advice.
okay.
Um, so now for me, now that I have this certificate, how can I maximize on it
Hey, just
to get a job? Because that's the goal. I haven't started looking yet.
well, then that's a problem. That's problem number one, right?
Okay.
So here's what I want you to do, okay? I want you to turn down the microphone a little bit because I'm getting echo, but you're good. But here's what I want you to do. Like I told him in the beginning,
Hmm.
what's your dream? What is it that you really want? Because to have once you get a scrum job, oh, you got the scrum job, okay? But what is it that you
Hmm.
really want, right? I was having a conversation with someone um, during a scrum gathering, and she had become year ago or so, she was in your position. And she want a scrum job, and that's what she want, and everything else. And I said to her, the goal ain't to get a scrum job. The goal is to do what you dream of doing. The scrum
Hmm.
job just facilitates something you really want. So what is it that you really want? See,
I
I'm
want
not
to own my
involved in scrum.
own.
Go ahead.
I want to own my own boutique selling dresses.
Then what you don't need scrum to do that.
No, I don't, but I need money to do that,
Okay. So
right?
now, yes, true. I agree with that.
And
So
that's where
now my
Scrum comes in for me.
okay. So now the question becomes, right? Because you're trying to use scrum to facilitate getting some money so you can so you can, build the other business, right?
Correct.
Great. So now my question for you is this, right? Have you looked up jobs that exist, maybe in a space that will keep you inspired and never losing sight of actually making sure that you can be in the fashion industry? So let's think about the perfect
Um.
scrum job for you, right? Right now,
Okay.
I'm in New York right now, and
Okay.
I'm about to go do a training for a big fashion company.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be great if you was a scrum master at some big fashion company?
Yeah.
Even if you was just involved in IT aspects of it, you at least are around people that are thinking like that, associated with that, right? Scrum is in every industry. There's no question. It's all over the place, right? So
Correct.
when you start
Correct.
thinking about your dream job, what is your dream job? What is your dream job? Beyond just being a scrum job. What kind of money you want to make? Go find those jobs. Go find those things. Go look at the recs and figure out what that perfect job is for you. Because it
Okay.
might be that you want to go and be in a fashion district in New York. Or you might want to be where you're at, working remotely, with an opportunity that's going to be challenging enough for you to actually learn densely from your experience in terms of Scrum. Or you might want to have a Scrum job that's so easy that you can do your other job on the side, right? So, what is it that you want to do? Find those opportunities and then start to build yourself to match them.
Okay.
And my statement to you is clearly this: how much time have you spent today working on that? Today. Give it to me in hours. Zero. So
Zero.
that's a problem. Here's what you need to do. There's a book called The One Thing, I believe it's by Gary Keller. Go get it and read it. Read it by the end of
Okay.
the week. Okay? And what he
Okay.
says in that book is really simple. What's the one thing that you're going to do that by doing that one thing is going to make everything else easier, or you ain't got to do that thing no more?
Okay.
And so for me, every day I get up, still to this day, and I'm a certified scrum trainer, I get up and I think about it tonight. I think about it the night before, but I think about what can I do to make Bearded Eagle more successful, or whatever I choose to. What am I going to do to make my brand stick out more? What am I going to do to make this show more successful? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do to make my comic book collection stick out? Every day, I find some target, and I spend over an hour on it every single day. It's the biggest
Okay.
thing I work on in my day. It's the first thing I work on in my day. You know why? Because nothing else is more important than that thing. When I was in
You're right.
Scrum Gathering, Chris Gardner, the guy who is in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, he's the guy behind the story, and he
Yeah.
said, "Plan A." Everybody talks about making sure you have a plan B, but here's the deal: I only work for plan A. I strive on plan A, because the truth is, if plan B was any good and didn't suck, it would be plan A. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Yes.
you got a plan. You need to work toward that plan dogmatically. You need to work toward that plan every single day. See, what you're going to do to me, Maud, is you're going to be coming to, like, when my kid graduates. I got any more kids graduating? No, not from my high school. When I have a kid graduating next year from college, you're going to be talking to, you're going to run into me at the dang on graduation, and you're going to say, Devon, I really want to be involved in the Scrum thing. But you ain't involved in it because you haven't done the work.
Hmm.
So every single day, you have no excuse on why you haven't put an hour minimum time into making this dream a reality. You earned a certification, so you're going to let that certification sit there and while it's hot,
No.
not strike while it's hot?
No.
Well, then what you been doing the past week? You can't do that.
I actually try to get in touch with John, but it's just his
Just register for his
LinkedIn. You
class.
can't.
Don't worry about it. Just register for his class.
Well, I can't find it. So I actually sent him a tweet. I actually tweeted and mentioned him to ask him how do I get
Okay, well,
because
do
I
me a
know
favor.
I know one of
Connect with me. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Just connect with me on
mm-hmm,
LinkedIn. Send me a message on
mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, and I'll connect you with John. John is my
Okay.
boy. I'll connect you with John. That's not an issue. I got you. You know me. You 1 degree of separation from him.
Yeah, no, I have been looking at jobs. I've been looking at job descriptions. So I know one thing that I do need to do is I need to redo my resume. But I didn't want to redo my resume without taking his class. I have been looking at jobs. I've even applied for a couple of jobs with my current resume,
Yeah, and that
even
can be
though I
tough.
have. Right.
Yeah,
So,
that could be tough.
um,
So I'm not gonna say to you that I'm gonna say to you that's good for you to go do what you need to do. It just makes it tough because when they don't reach back out to you, you're not getting any feedback. And not
right.
getting any feedback. Oh, interesting. They have a brand and land. Oh, they're doing new stuff. They got a brand and land interview that's done by somebody else other than John. But okay, all right. So here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this. There's a class July 9th. I'm gonna just go PMI Dallas, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw this in the chat because I know other people will want it. So let me go ahead and let me find the chat real quick. I'm gonna drop this in the chat, and you can get it from there.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
and you'll see in the banner there'll be a banner. LinkedIn, I haven't forgot about you. I'm going to LinkedIn right now, and I'm gonna drop it in the chat. John's my boy. PMI Dallas is my peeps. I love PMI Dallas because I'm a member of PMI Dallas. So, you know, I'm a member of PMI Dallas and PMI Fort Worth. So I'm a member of two chapters. So let me go
So
ahead and see something. Let
refresh
me
my memory again on what PMI stands for.
It's a project management institute.
Oh, okay.
It's like a
I knew it
society
was
for
project.
project managers, right? So
Gotcha.
you don't have to worry about being a part of PMI. What you got to worry about, well, you can be a non-member and join that class, so there's no worry, because there's a non-member fee, and it's going to be more expensive than the member fee, but that's okay. That's not an issue. If I look here and I go to his thingamajig, let's see. It was showing it to me. Let me try it again. Let's see.
Let me see.
Yeah, so if I go here to the thingamajig, oh, there you go. If I go here to this thing and click more information, that class cost $40. $40 from non-PMI members and guests. $30.
Okay.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know if it's $30, but that's PMI members. $40. $40. That's it. $30 if you do it before June 10th is passed. So July 9th. So
Okay.
that right there, I'd be in
Okay.
there, right? And then if you look at that site, they got one that's about interviews too. I have not been to that one. I've been to my boys' one, and his is great. It's 5 hours of
Okay.
information. It was too much information for me. I was like deer in the headlights. Like it was too
Okay.
much. And I don't know. I don't know if I told the story during class, but I actually tried to find a job after I did that. And when I tried to find a job before I did that, and I did my
Mm-hmm.
match my resume to the job requisition, and my resume matched up at about 20 to 30% match
Yeah,
for
you
whatever
did
it
tell us
is.
that. Right.
So really, to me, I was so shocked. I was just like, this is ridiculous. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I paid attention. I really did pay a lot of attention in that class. It was ridiculous how much attention. It was a 5 hour class. It was ridiculous. But it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. So
Okay.
you ain't got no excuses. So now you got the link. You can say to John when you get in there, Devon sent me, and he'll be like, "That's my guy." And if
Okay.
you don't say that's my guy, then let me know because I'm gonna call him
Okay.
and
I
have a
will.
conversation with him. So,
I
but
will.
yeah, no,
Thank
no,
you
you
so much.
fine, you fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. Go get your stuff. That Brandon land July 8th, but before you get there, start looking at places where you want to apply. Start grabbing those places. Start figuring that out. Join a Scrum user group. You're doing the right thing by being here. Read some books. Like go read anything by Jeff Sutherland. Go read the stuff by Ken Schwaber. Jeff Sutherland's book, like twice the work in half the amount of time. It's like a red book. Read that book like now, right? So
Okay.
just go start reading some books and getting yourself acclimated to what you need to do to make that transition. And if you do that, that's going to be super duper helpful. So, Mod, you're on the right direction. Just remember, you're the only one that can stop
Don't
you.
embarrass you. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
don't
thought you was
embarrass
gonna
me.
say
Don't
don't
embarrass
embarrass
me.
you.
Definitely don't embarrass me.
I
That's
won't.
very true. Don't embarrass me. That's a fact, right? That'd be the next thing I say. Don't embarrass me on the street. But literally, I think I do believe that you're your biggest limitation. So stop being your biggest limitation.
I believe that too. But one day I will come back and tell you, Devon, I have a job. I'll
Well,
get it.
I firmly believe that, right? I
I know
firmly
I will.
believe that. And I think that you'll have the job that you really want. You just got to go make it happen. And you need to make it happen. And you need to do something toward that job every single day. Just a little bit
I
every
got that.
single day matters. So
Okay.
long as you do
All
that,
right.
I think you'll be fine. All right, Mod. Make
Okay.
sure you keep in Mod. I'm not gonna say for you. I'm not gonna say for you to keep in touch. Because I know you're going to keep in touch.
But I will. Exactly.
I know you're going to keep in touch. So I'm not even going to say it.
I
I'm
will.
not even going to say it. I appreciate you. You
Thank
obviously
you.
know how to reach out to me.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
Maud. I'll
You have a
talk to
good
you later.
night.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye bye. All right, so y'all, that was another amazing call, and that was amazing because Ma was in my class, one of my recent classes, and in that class, she had some concerns about passing the test, and realistically, a lot of times the people that have no IT experience end up getting the higher scores, right? Because they don't have any of the baggage that goes along with them, and she did. She knocked it out, and she had a little difficulty when taking the test because it had some error on it, but she got 92%. That's a really solid pass. So out of 50, she got maybe three wrong, right? So she did very, very well. She got two or three, maybe four wrong. So she did a really good job, right? When you think she got 46 to 47 questions correct on that test, 60-minute test. Don't know nothing about Scrum. So I think she did an amazing job. So that's, just another one of those really good things. So she's going to end up being an amazing story. And I look forward to seeing what the story is going to be. I look forward to all y'all stories, right? All of y'all will have just amazing stories, and anything that I can do to help you with your story along the way, I have no problem with that, right? I told myself I'm gonna do a mentoring group at some point, but I I got to get past these kids, man. That's what I'm trying to do right now. So y'all just let me get past these kids. I'm kind of getting it together. Actually this past weekend I took a nap. It felt like a 4 hour nap, but it was like a 2.5 hour nap. And I don't take naps at all. But that's how tired I've been. It's been ridiculous. But you see, I come to the show because I don't mess around. That is so stupid. I'm in New York, man. Do you understand? I'm in New York in the hotel. I'm in the hotel talking to y'all, looking out my window. They told me I don't get no view until I get like the 28th floor. I'm like, I really don't want to be on the 28th floor. Give me the lowest floor you can give me so I can get out the building fast. That is so stupid. But the elevator was really quick though. It was really, really quick. And I came to New York, man. I felt at home. Been in a while, but I felt at home. I've been in so much, it's ridiculous. But I felt at home. I really did feel at home. I really did. So Patrick, what's up? Patrick, you in Connecticut. We should be having lunch or something. Connecticut is like right there. It really is. Right there. Hey Jermaine, how you doing? P Bell, how you doing? Let's see. Let's see. How do you recert if expired? You're supposed to recertify within 90 days of your expiration, and all you really need to do is pay $100 and submit your Scrum education units. Um, FYI, people, Scrum education units is continuing education, and one way you get continuing education is by attending this show. Anytime you interact with a certified Scrum trainer, especially when you're talking about Scrum, for that time you interact with them, you get Scrum education units. And guess what, people? We spend an hour here. So guess what you get from spending an hour here? A free Scrum education unit. Because one unit is equal to 1 hour. So you actually get a free Scrum education unit by attending here. So you can utilize this to actually help you recertify. And realistically, if you're thinking about the foundational certifications, CSM, CSPO, CSD, you need like 20 Scrum education units. And then you need to pay the $100 fee is what you need to do in order to recertify. And your dashboard should have that. If your time is expired and it's not egregious, then you can reach out to Scrum Alliance. I think Scrum Alliance is support at scrumalliance.org. Send them an email, say, hey, man, something went wrong and, I didn't know how to do whatever. And they're always helpful. They've always been helpful to people I send that. So, it should be a good thing. Let's see. What else? What else is going on here? I think that's really fundamentally it, people. I think that's fundamentally it. It's nice always having the newbies on the show. I enjoyed having both Brent, right, and Maud. Maud she make me laugh. She's cool. I like her, right? I had to give her a hard time when she was in class. But we had a good time in class. We really, really did. We actually had two alumni show up in class. And for Bearded Eagle, alumni get to come back to a class for free. that they've taken already. So we have one-time refresher that we actually do. So that's always amazing. I remember I had somebody who was in my class in 2013, came back for a refresher when they got laid off in 2020. And so that was great to help out. But on that note, I didn't see any other major questions. How do you be certified? Da, da, da. How do you be certified? Expired. How do you be certified? Da, da, da. I saw your question. I did. And just how I'm doing. Other than that, people, I'm going to say I appreciate everybody that's attended both in LinkedIn and right here. And right here. Okay. Um, Please like this, subscribe to this if you haven't subscribed already. Please let other people know about it. This is something that I do for the community, and I believe it's just going to grow over time. So this is we will keep doing this every Monday, and if we get enough people that show up and all this other kind of, I will do this more. I would love to do this every day. I'd have no problem doing this every day, you know, because I think it's helpful. So, on that note, I'm going to say thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. I believe this was an amazing session. What am I going to talk about next week? I don't even know. I'm trying to look it up real quick, what I'm going to talk about next week, because, Devon just don't be thinking about, hey, let's think about how making all these great plans. No, I just be kind of rolling, trying to get y'all the information is what I do. But I believe next week is going to be, let's see, we're going to be talking about admitting uh, these organizations that I'm willing to admit to failure. So let's talk about failures next week, people. On that note, I'm going to say thank you, thank you, thank you for attending. I absolutely love every single one of you all. As I usually say in my class, and as you heard them say to me, I always say, don't embarrass me on the street. So go out there and do wonderful and great things. Make sure you take care of yourself, take care of your family. It was Freedom Day the other day. Yesterday it was. It was Father's Day. So I want to say, hey, hopefully you enjoyed that time and time with your family. But other than that, you all make it a great, great week. I'll talk to you soon. You all have a good one. Peace. I'll see you later.